I'm wondering if you have any recommendations in terms of how we can sort of turn people on to free speech. In other words, like, what is free speech good for? Why do we need
Yeah,
free speech? Of course, a lot of people who are opposed to free speech think that they're opposed to free speech because they're doing a good thing. They're protecting
yeah,
people from hate speech. They're protecting people from racism. They're protecting people from sexism, transphobia,
yeah.
so on and so forth. I don't believe that to be the case, but I certainly understand why people might think that.
Sure. Yeah. No, the hate speech, the rise of the concept on hate speech, that particularly came from American campuses, is the greatest PR success for censorship in my lifetime. And it's amazing that people still have faith that it can work really well. When you see examples of how it works in Europe, I think are utterly ludicrous, and how it works in Canada, I think is arbitrarily applied, and how it's worked on campuses for 40 years. Shock upon shock, it ends up being the people that the administrators don't like that get in trouble, and the ones they do like don't get in trouble. The sons of professors are fine, and the college conservatives, get lots of hoops to jump through. And I think that it comes from a something that sounds nice if you don't think about it too hard, which is essentially there are racist people, absolutely. There is racism out there, absolutely. There is evil out there, even agree with that. But somehow it's better not to know that someone really thinks that if they really think that.
Mm.
And that to me is grounded in an assumption, which is unquestioned to a large degree, in elitism, that essentially, like, my people know truth, and these people are savages, and therefore they should shut up. But also, it's not being a good scientist. It's not being a good anthropologist. It's not being a good democratic citizen, because it's like, if they believe this, I should want to know why they think this. I should want to know that they think this, rather than just assuming. So knowing the world as it is one of the most fundamental values of freedom of speech. And one of the most important things about the way the world is what people really think and why. And so, like, the idea that you can get rid of that and be kind of like, well, if you believe the following things, then you should go to jail. It's like, wow. So we're saying what? That we think we will be safer and better off if we know less about the world, less about what our fellow citizens think about what they actually believe. So I think it's a bad idea from the beginning. And the reason why I think it's been able to take off, so well, like this anti-free speech kind of ethos, is that people, they don't think about what it means if they had a belief, that was transgressive. What if some of the things that they thought, for example, were deeply moral, they were not allowed to say? And I think they might start to get it. It would require them to be inauthentic. It would require them to abandon their principles, and it would be ultimately putting someone else in charge of what you're allowed to say, what books you're allowed to read, all of this kind of stuff. So I think that when it comes to, like, where do you start overcoming the arguments for censorship, is with curiosity.